Hi there and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about our database in Adalo. This is an extremely important part of Adalo to understand because it's going to serve as the foundation for what's available inside your app and make a personalized experience for the people that sign into your app. So first, let's look at the database over here. This is what we're going to be talking about today, but in order to help you understand exactly what Adalo is all about, we're also going to use something that everyone is familiar with. A database is a structured set of data held inside of a computer, and a common database that we all know and love is Google Sheets. You can see that we have this Google Sheet called Premier Living Rentals. And so for this example, we are going to pretend that we are a property management firm and we have several different listings that we are going to look through. Here you can see inside this database, we have information about these listings, and we also have information about property managers and renters. If we go ahead and take a look at Adalo, we can see that we have the same information available here. We've got our database, this entire area, and we've got information about our users, in this case, our property managers and renters. That information is in here. And we have our listings. So those are the same 5 listings that we saw over in our Google Sheets. Next, let's talk about collections. A collection in Adalo is an individual table of data that's all related to each other. For example, right here in our users collection, this has information about users of our apps, in this case, property managers and renters. And for each person inside of this collection, we've got information related to everything that you see here. If we go back over to our information inside what is a collection in Google Sheets, you can see that a collection is viewed in this individual tab down here called property managers and renters. Same thing is true here for listings. We've got information in our listings tab in Google Sheets, and that is related to the listing information that you see here in this collection inside of Adalo. Next up, we have properties. Properties are the columns inside your collection, and these contain related information about each row. For example, in our listings collection, we have properties or columns for information related to the property name, the address, the city, the state, so on and so forth. In our property managers and renters collection, we have information related to a name, an email, a phone number, etc. In Adalo, here is how our properties are laid out. Again, you'll see in our listings collection that we've got a property name, the address, the city, the state, the zip code, all of the same properties that were inside our Google Sheet are listed here inside this collection. In order to add a property to Adalo, you can go ahead and click property down here and select which type of property you want to add. It's important to choose the correct property type in order to display information correctly inside of Adalo. So, for example, if we're looking at the number of bedrooms, we have a number property here. Next, we're going to talk about records. Records are the rows inside of our collection. In our property managers and renters tab in Google Sheet, you will see that the record for John Doe contains all of the information related to this person. The same thing is true in our listings collection. Here is an entire record or row, and this row contains all of the information about our property called Cozy Apartment. If we're looking over in Adalo, the way to see records is by clicking into each collection here. So when we look at our listings records, we can see Cozy Apartment, and then all of the information that is related to Cozy Apartment here. If we go ahead and click into an individual record, we can see, again, all of that information displayed in a different way, and it's also editable. We can go ahead and update the address here if we needed to, for example. Here in our users collection, you can see the same information about our property managers and the renters. And again, this stuff can be clicked into and edited as needed. Lastly, let's talk about relationships. Relationships are foundational to understanding the database in Adalo. Adalo has what is known as a relational database. That means that you can create different connections between two different collections. Relationships are a great way to keep your database clean and to help with the functioning of your app. We'll have a video for this later, but the way that I like to think about relationships is similar to the data validation fields in Google Sheets. It ensures that information is tied to each other correctly. For example, you can see this drop-down chip here for Property Manager, and this information is available in our Property Managers and Renters collection. What this is doing is it is relating the information that is found here in this tab with information that is found here in our Listings tab. It is saying John Doe is the property manager for the Cozy Apartment. In this case, it is saying that Michael Davis is currently renting the spacious house. And again, this information is available over here in your Property Managers and Renters collection, but it is related to data that is found in our Listings collection. Here in Adalo, you'll see the same exact thing. You can see in our Users collection, we have a property for listings. So that means that a user is tied to listings. Or we also have a property for the rented properties. And that means that a user is renting a specific property. If we go ahead and look at these individual collections and scroll over here, we can see that John Doe has two different listings, and we can see that Michael Davis and Laura White are renting properties, the studio loft and the spacious house, which is the exact same thing that we saw over in Google Sheets. Inside Adalo, relational properties show up on both sides of the collection. So, for example, in our users collection, we saw how the users were related to various listings. And inside our listings collection, we are going to see how these listings are tied to various users. So here we can see Property Managers, John Doe is related to two different properties, and also that there are renters that belong to two different properties. Two renters belong to two properties. Here is how that same information appears inside Adalo. The property manager is John Doe, and the renter is Laura White. We will have a video on relationships later on to understand what everything means, but it's important to understand how relationships fit into this database right now and how they're going to appear inside the database. As a quick overview, this is your database inside of Adalo. Every database in Adalo comes with a users collection. Your users collection has very specific information and properties related to it, and this cannot be renamed. And some of these properties cannot be deleted. So for example, your password property cannot be deleted. Each collection in Adalo is made up of various properties. Again, your properties are what looks like the columns in your database. If you click into this collection, you will see these various properties with the associated data. Also, inside your collection, you will see different records. A record is a row with all of the properties associated with it filled out. You can see a record information and edit that information here once you click into a specific record. Lastly, one of the property types is your relationships, and these relationships show how different collections are related to each other. In our users collection, we have two different relationships to listings. It is both the listings that is tied to a property manager, and it's also a relationship to listings that refers to your rented properties. I hope that explaining the Adalo database in relation to a Google Sheet was helpful for you to understand what a database is in Adalo and how it's laid out and what the various terminology and vocabulary related to a database inside Adalo looks like. If this is helpful for you, I would love to create another video using other common databases so that you can understand, again, the relationship between, let's say, Airtable and Adalo, or Notion and Adalo, or any other database that may be helpful so that you can better understand how to lay out your data inside Adalo to get it working the best for you. If you have any questions or a database that you'd like to see, please drop them in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you back here for our next video on how to create a no-code app inside Adalo.